Ankur, if you don't mind just giving a little bit of your background as an introduction, and then you can jump into your presentation, and we'll try and take maybe 10 minutes of Q&A after your presentation, and we'll close things up at about quarter to the top of the hour.
Sounds good. Thank you, Taylor and Spencer, for having me here today. I basically am a vice president of reasoning and language understanding, especially for agentic AI in M365 Copilot. So reasoning over all your web data and the enterprise communications data, along with any other data that you want to bring along. We will learn some of this today, and making most of like your drudgery go away. That's basically our goal, to make users do things that they want to do faster, cheaper, better, right? That's basically how I like to put. So yeah, I think from inbox to innovation, that's basically not just another catchy phrase, I hope. It's the idea is that we conquer our communications more effectively first, and then actually be more creative, because none of us come here to check emails or attend meetings. Right? I mean, each of you, when you took this founder journey, you had something super innovative or something, a world-changing idea that you had in mind. And everything else that we do is a means to that end, right? So we want to make sure that gets done. And like, that's something that, to be honest, like, I mean, that has scared to me a lot of times in my journey in last 20 years at Microsoft. I felt that maybe I should go and start something of my own, right? Like, I mean, I had some crazy idea which I felt that I cannot. But what has actually a lot of times scared me off, and that's why hats off to you all, is that I get scared by how many hats that I'll have to go juggle here. If I have that crazy idea that let's say Microsoft sponsors for me, then I can just focus on that idea, right? And a lot of other things are taken care of for me, right? So that's basically one of the things that worries me. So I think the two things that I find myself whenever I have to engage in some of these tasks is the two extremes, sort of, right? Like, one is the cost of context switching each time I have to respond to an email or a chat, or I have to start something for like a hiring pipeline, or you know the drill, right? Like, I mean, how much time, like they say almost 50% of the time for startup founders go in administrative tasks, right? Like some admin fog. Even if you have hired some dedicated people, you still have to spend times towards it, right? And that's something that saps your focus. And humans, unlike machines, even machines pay the context or the cost of context switching, but humans pay a much higher cost. Like, even if it is like the research says 20 minutes, but I don't necessarily feel that's the case for me. But even if it is like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, that's almost like saying each time I switch a window on my computer, the computer reboots, right? So think of the context switching that the cost we have to pay. And I hope that I think that we are building AI solutions that goes away, because it costs a lot of switching. It has impact on the deep work that we can go do, and it's just a lot of mental energy drain, right? And also, at the end of the day, I feel that that's not the kind of things that we enjoy. So it's also a question of just pure morale. Then I think the second extreme is that, no, okay, I want to do the deep work, and I have, like, let's for a minute assume that all the distractions are gone. This is this whole blank page phenomenon. And not just, a lot of times we talk about the lack of ideas, right? Like a writer's block or some other terms. I actually feel myself, and I'm pretty sure that it's not me alone. It's actually a lot of ideas that also happens. But either ways, right? Like, whether you have no idea or lot of ideas that you want to say, okay, which one should I go deep into, right? How should I approach a breadth first or depth first? So I think it ends up delaying the new projects. Whether you have too many choices or no choice, you end up basically just saying, and even convince yourself that it's fine, I'll actually just go do something else which we just start to think is important, and responding to that email just becomes a way for yourself to fool yourself that, okay, I think I can procrastinate this task later. right? So I think that's, again, a big challenge where I feel these latest AI solutions can actually help us do a lot more. Right. So let's basically, I think the way I've broken down my task is like my talk is that we can think of it as growing value from the base. So what can you do immediately out of the box, right? What are the things that you can do a little bit more on the technical curve, but then you also create more functional value, like a department level value. And then the third step is maybe where you start to create organizational value. And of course, I mean, you have to be a little bit more involved technically in this one as well, right? So that's how I'm breaking it down. So the level one is achieving instant wins, right? That is like, and even there, I feel a lot of times when people even think that they're using AI, they may not be using enough, just even from outside the box without you needing to do anything. Because I think we have, hopefully, this first page, I'm hoping that we've all just learned to do now in last few years, right? That meeting efficiencies, taking notes, I know this is getting recorded, right? Peer programming using, I mean, if you have coders in your team or yourself code, right? Like, I mean, you're using AI there. And time reduction in writing, drafting emails, documents. So I think those are the kind of things that I'm assuming that we're all doing, right? So I think that's where, I mean, by the way, I think I'll keep talking about general AI things and in my talk, but I'll also have some specific Copilot specific examples because that's the world I know more about, as well as I may have some deeper content to share as well. But my biggest goal here is that I think folks are using more and more AI to get their tasks done. Right. So I think just giving you a snapshot of kind of things that again put like to get in my this category, but pushing a little bit more than just summarizing an email or drafting a document, but even doing maybe more deeper things like preparing for a customer meeting, for example, here, or creating a strategy paper. I mean, there are a lot of these deep research reasoning based agents that are available that will go for minutes today, right? Which can produce you insights, get things done, creativity from even a lot of fragmented, unstructured data sources, right? Like which may have to connect your meetings to emails, to maybe even a CRM and whatnot. So I think that is essentially something that you can also fairly get out of the box, right? And the researcher is specifically one Copilot offering, which I'll talk about, which is essentially reasons over your entire, again, mailbox and web to, and spends minutes for tasks like let's say creating a strategy paper. I'll give you a few prompts in the next slide to give you the kind of things that you can actually do with this, right? Like, I mean, these are the things I'm hoping you all do day to day, right? Like, I mean, finding product market fit signals, or what is my competitor doing? So it can go like take its time, understand, and can even provide you insights of what are the things that you should be doing, because it has access to what you have in your kitty, as well as it has access to the web, so it can bring best and then produce these insights for you, right? Or sales call prep, that this company I'm going to talk to, and then you want to see how much are they invested in me today, what are they actually doing, what are their challenges, right? So I think all of that you can again put together and have these newer reasoning models be able to take care of. So again, just throwing out a few here, but I'll keep going. And this is just a little demo of if you are an enterprise M365 Copilot user, you have this researcher agent, you talk to it, you can select which data sources you want it to look at, web or specific enterprise sources. You respond to some of the questions that it may have asked you as clarifications, just like how a human does, right? A human, if you delegate a complex task to someone, you would want them to ask you some relevant questions before you just go. And then it basically works on that, right? So that's the idea. And then these produce like long reports at times, even 20 pages, 30 pages. They're not shy. If the answer warrants that, it will basically go do that, right? And I'll keep me like in the middle, like, I mean, because I heard that it's a very diverse group, like I have tried to pick examples of journeys of various personas in various industries. Like, for example, for the, again, out of the box case, I'm picking a pharma person who is responsible for clinic trials. How all can they see their journey in starting from building protocols in Word, doing some selection and training using chat, like where that's where I was saying that if you're running out of ideas, you can either propose your ideas and say, what ideas can you create pros and cons of these ideas, or you can even say generate some ideas from you, and then you can apply your human prudence to say which ones make sense and not, or you can cross question it to say, aha, but what about this, or did you consider this, right? Like just like how you will brainstorm with a human. uh, then again, you create informed consent, you can go do some data collection and analysis and management, and then you can probably create some like these baked insights in your PowerPoint, which you can then again get basically regulatory approval and market product like creation using the Copilot chat, right? So just giving an example of. Similarly, I think the day in life of a founder, I try to create like, I mean, where who is about to go give a speech at a conference or at some customer meeting, or right, like, so again, this something that you can see as a various points in that life cycle on how you can potentially use various aspects of Copilot in various embeddings of that same Copilot avatar in Teams or Outlook or chat, right? So now let's go to the level 2, right? Now, basically, the thing that I'll encourage for all of you to do is that a lot of you might have ended up creating some of these prompts that you feel are useful, right? How do you basically go share them with your colleagues, right? That this has been tuned exactly to do this specific thing, or creating collaborative workflows in which you can even connect few things and create automations of your workflows, meaning mapping to productivity. And then even these low code or no code agent solutions on top of Copilot. And again, as I said, I'm giving examples from Copilot, that's the world I know, but there might be similar offerings. I don't know how much like this enterprise grade compliance they are offering, but I know there are similar offerings that you can see in other places of creating low code or no code agents for yourself, where you can say, I can hook some specific LOB data that is present only in my world, which otherwise the M365 Copilot is not aware, right? But yeah, this little example of prompt gallery that Copilot supports, again, I'm pretty sure there are similar things that are available otherwise, right? And this is something that I'll talk more in this one and as well as the next section, right? That there is a control system that is built on top of whatever is this out, like what you get just out of Copilot in creating these agents. And what are these agents, which I'm by saying low code, right? You can do many things which are just about customizing maybe a set of instructions, or saying, here is all my data in a single container, only basically use this. Let's say, for example, you're trying to build a customer service bot on top of whatever your product is, right? You can say, here is basically your entire knowledge base. Don't go beyond this. Don't go like a subset of this. This is it, right? This is what you need, right? And maybe these are the instructions which are custom to you, which you think a general customer service agent won't know. Like, let's say if you have some insight about your customers, you put those instructions and well, I'm done, right? You don't have to do anything. And you can build these kind of things in the Microsoft Copilot Studio, right? So yeah, I think what it like in summary, what it provides you is connect your data sources outside of Copilot each otherwise, right? Like again, as I said, LOBs, call your redesign business processes and workflows, and configure Copilot responses to specific questions. You can even say, for this question, go here or whatever, right? Like, so it allows you that, uh, uh, right? So yeah, as I said, like an example could be chat over your own knowledge sources. Like, for example, and this is so easy, my admin team, right, which is comprised of 5 people, they have built their own knowledge sources over the frequent questions or things that people in my team keep asking them, right? Now you don't go to an admin, they just basically, you just go and talk to their agent, right? So I think those kind of things is basically in some ways the next level. There are also, by the way, plenty of agents on top of Copilot. Like, for example, people who are in sales here, they can say, I can connect it to my SAP agent or sales agent, right? Some structured data. And like again, just like the last step, last rung in my ladder, like in this one where I want you to do maybe a little bit more, share more. Um, Here, like I picked the life of a finance manager, and everything else is the same. In the last step, you build this custom agent which also connects to your SAP data. That's all, right? Like I mean, so that's the step 2, right? Um, the thing I would like to call in step 2 for all of you is to make sure that, because now no one else is optimized for whatever you created, how do you make sure that this is doing the right thing? Or let's say now you have an improvement over either the prompt or the instruction or the data set, right? How do you make sure? So the industry is just moving more and more towards, instead of defining specs, define evals, right? Like, so create first an understanding of what are you trying to achieve, what does the success look like, and there are plenty of LLM based evaluation systems that exist now that you can say, test my agent on those. Each time I'm going to make a change to my agent, I'm going to evaluate against that test set that I defined, and I'm going to go ensure that I keep optimizing it and as I iterate. So give it as many real world examples, include both simple and complex. And don't worry, I mean, even if your metric approach is not perfect, it's okay. It will improve as well. Like, I mean, the same way your product is not, like, I mean, the metrics will continue to evolve as well, right? So I think let's take a case study that, let's say you wrote a prompt for your sales prospecting email. Like the first email that you sent to a sales prospect, you created a prompt and you say, okay, this is the prompt that everyone in my team should use, right, as the first draft. And then of course, humans should bring their own context. But even for that first draft, these are the things I'm going to validate that are present in the response, right? So this can be your eval here now, that it is complete, it has a compelling, and complete is defined by it has a compelling hook, it has a mention of prospects priority, right? And so on and so forth. Tone, instead of saying, this is my product, like, I mean, and again, salespeople know better than I do. I'm not a salesperson, but I think as we all like have heard that in sales, they say, don't sell your product, sell them a solution to their problem, right? Like, so don't just, is this email containing the tone of, here is my product and it does great, right? Like, I mean, or are you saying your engineers are spending only 2 hours decoding, we can help them reclaim their time, blah, 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 right? Like, I think so that's the kind of things that you can set then in your evaluation system, so that you are making sure that you're optimizing for what you actually wanted it to be, right? So otherwise you'll keep making the same mistake, like the AI will keep making the same mistake, and then you'll doing the same corrections. And that's basically a time drain. Okay, let's go to the level 3, where you can completely take full control, unlock superpowers, bring advanced integrations, right? So here, I think the kind of things that I'm talking about is integrating your business APIs with Copilot, automating workflows, right? Writing piece on code on top of this, or the other way around, exposing your APIs, customizing the agent deployments, and customizing the AI insights that you can do. And then we'll talk about what we mean here. So first, building, I think essentially in this one, you get full control, and not just by no code or low code, you will actually write full code on top of it. And I've given the interest of time, like I can't basically fully explain on how you write your own flows, right? I mean, this is basically the Copilot Studio implementation guide on what all things are available to you. So once you have these slides, or you can scan if you want, you can go to that guide. And I think the example here is, now let's take the example of leave of absence. Sorry, I'm rushing past because I think I'm a bit out of time, but I think, yeah. So yeah, leave of absence compliance agent is what you wanted to build. Now, this does not just use data that you can expose to Copilot as is. You want to factor in a lot more complex logic, pieces of logic, right? That you want to add. So it's not just data, but you want to bring your proprietary processes. So this is what it can take to build something which, when ready, then it has a leave of absence compliance agent. By the way, I think I can also send a pointer to a link like where you can create many of these personas, and at what stage they are, based on that, you can actually produce these journeys if you want to. Because I think I also look at this group as leaders. You might all be sold on like leveraging more AI. You'll say, okay, I have to also go, besides the technical readiness, I also have to go inspire people to start doing that, right? So you can also build these kind of life cycles of a persona's day by going to that share where I go, right? Where I'll point you to. Yeah, I think so. A simple 7-day playbook could look like, if you are already on day 4 or 5, that's fine. You start from there. But I think if you've not, like your day 1 and 2 can be just making sure that, yes, this thing works, right? Achieve 3 wins. And that essentially will make sure that you are going there again and again. Because I think once you go there, then you will basically also find ways for you to try more novel things that I have not even talked here, right? Day 3 and 4, then you say, aha, I have perfected a few things that I can even share, or like I've figured out some things which I have done something more than just comes out of the box. And 5 to 7, like, I mean, yes, I think if you go to the pointer I shared about Copilot Studio, you can even attempt to build a little hello world Copilot agent of your own. So yeah, I think that's my spiel, that I think, yes, you can accelerate. There are again some few useful pointers: Copilot communities, Copilot analytics and dashboards, where you can learn more on how it is being used if you have enabled it in your organization, right? And Copilot Academy has a bunch of learning resources for you to go learn on how you can basically progress in your AI journey. A couple of watch outs also I want to share, like again, a lot of things that I've learned as I've adopted AI in my life. First, still, there's a reason why we call it Copilot and not the pilot, is because you are the pilot, right? The AI efficiency needs to be complemented with your judgment. You know what you are doing, what towards, and what is the right way to do it. This is something that can not just, again, I'll emphasize, it's not just faster and cheaper. It is going to produce you better, but you're still the judge who can say, aha, I would not have thought of this idea. I'm glad, but you are still the judge of that idea, right? Compliance and trust, I think, make sure that the tools and agents that you're picking, right, meets the whatever contractual obligations you have with your customer data and your own data, right? Like what you want, privacy that you want to expect from this. There are many things, like there are many vulnerabilities also getting introduced as we have introduced this newer tech, right? Prompt injections, data exfiltration. So please make sure that you are working with the right tools and agents. Human tone, I mean, humans do prefer human tone. So make sure that you are basically working with agents and working them to create the tone which sounds like you, right? There are plenty of personalization things that I didn't talk about, which also happen underneath. Context engineering, I think that's a thing that we moved more in last 6 to 12 months, as again these reasoning models came. Like, so if you already user who is doing a little bit more, maybe be on level 2 or level 3, in the past we would probably stuff a lot of context and push it to the model and see what happens, right? Now the models have become smarter to say, expose me just like a human, right? Like, I mean, a human, I'll take a very simple example. If I'm doing some even research on web, right? As a human, what do? I don't just consume the entire search result page and then say, okay, what do I do, right? Like, I mean, I look at the results, I say, aha, third result is what I want to know more about. I click on it. There also, it's not that I'll necessarily read the whole page. I may read the first, I may scroll down somewhere, I may do a control F. So these models have all those capabilities now. They can scroll, they can find text, they can pull like a table of contents, a lot of those things. So I think more and more, give them the data and context and get out of their way. Don't give them too much instructions or prompts or stuff data in the prompt. And then last, I think, yeah, be aware that, yes, there can still be confident nonsense from these models. And to avoid that, the more you will ground them, the more you will basically see them driving towards precision over saying fluently something which is not correct, right? I mean, of course, so that's something that we've all seen. And the fix, while I think as the models are becoming bigger and smarter, they are getting better at hallucinations. But there are other ways to tackle this as well, by just ensuring that you are grounding them well with the data. All right, I think I'm 2 minutes over than what I had thought, so that I could have given you 10 minutes of Q&A, but let's see, I mean, we still have 8 minutes.
Yeah, Ankur, thank you so much. This was incredible. Um, I'll jump in just to some questions that are in the chat that have gotten some upvotes.
Uh-huh.
Do you have a personal favorite feature inside of Copilot that you think more people should be using, but they?
Yeah, I think the deep research thing that I said, I think that's my favorite. I use it. I mean, almost like multiple times a day, or even I'll say many times. These researcher things are just running for me. I'll be doing something else. There are 2 or 3 instances. Some stuff is happening there always. They come back. I give them more tasks. Right. So almost like a couple of AI workers who are just working for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so along those lines, from Erica, she said, from your perspective, what industries and business functions are seeing the fastest adoption of Copilot or AI in general, and why do you think that?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think I may not have a perfect answer, because I think there are some views which are more from people who talk about DSATs or coming up with asks for features, right? That, if I have to say, I'll say finance, legal, pharma are a few that come to my mind. And yeah, I think but that is a little bit biased view, because I think they have needs which the models, like, or at least the agents in the first go, did not meet. They wanted more understanding of compliance and regulations, right? They also wanted to know how they can curtail the model to not go some places, right? So all of those things made us being more visible. These are the folks who also had things like, for example, higher precision tasks, as I was saying, which earlier models are not as good at, right? For example, finance very clearly wants to even do calculations, which we all know the models in the beginning were not as good at, right? Or in legal, I mean, it doesn't want you to get distracted, right? I mean, it wants you to just stay and focus. So I think those are a few things that we learned as well. But I think I have a view of that from there. They are probably some of our biggest customers too. Um, but
Interesting.
yeah, I think I'll have to look at the dashboards to pull the stats. Uh,
Yeah, that would be very
Education, of
interesting.
course. Actually, education is another big one. They are the ones who are most serve out of the box, right? With least, because these models are primarily built and trained on web data, and like in education, a lot of the academia things that can work very similarly. There are not many ACLs or constraints, right? Things like those. So I think for education, a lot of things just worked out of the box. Um, but yeah, they are also heavy consumers.
Interesting. Thank you. So a common question is one that Kevin brought up. How can an organization ensure confidentiality when using Copilot and allowing it to access their data? So that whole confidential
Yeah,
information.
no, this is definitely, I think I can talk about. See, the good thing about Microsoft here is, and I can't stand for everyone else, right? Um, is that when you sign up for M365, right, you are anyways have given your data, right, and you are trusting Microsoft with it, right? Your emails, your documents, your Teams meetings, recordings, everything is being stored there, and it does offer that enterprise grade promise the that the data is fully secure. Even for governments of the world, departments of defense, they all use it, and we ensure, like, I mean, most of the work, even if we are slower in terms of giving features, we have like that trust is the fundamental thing. Without that, will not, even if at a slight risk to it, will not ship anything, right? So that's basically the thing, that even some of the AI features may come a month late, 2 months late, but they will never ever compromise that data. The second thing that at times people wonder is my data being used for training? No. Like in M65 Copilot, any single interaction that you will use, even with differential privacy, for those who may not be aware, differential privacy, the idea is that the data has been anonymized enough that you cannot distinguish where it would have come from, right? And it's not just simple reductions. There is like science behind it. I mean, I'll not go over the details, but the idea is that mathematically you can prove that there is no way you can go back, right? Now, even those techniques are something that we do not use for training our data. mostly when we try to learn basically optimize scenarios for you, either we'll find corresponding public data or we'll generate synthetic tenant data, where we have created these completely synthetic tenants built by large language models, where we have put personas, they are interacting, chatting, creating projects, doing work, meetings, all of that. And that's what we use to then train more complex scenarios.
Thanks for addressing that. That's great. Very helpful. Another question from Jeff: how's Copilot being used to help manage email bloat and LinkedIn spam?
Yeah. I think LinkedIn spam, you probably will have to maybe tell me a little bit more on what I think exactly, because I may not be facing what you are. But I think email bloat in general, there are plenty of things that are coming, including, or even I think now you can ask Copilot to say, hey, what is important for me, or summarize things for me. But yes, we are even considering understanding your deep context, which is based on what emails that you're actually looking at, or what are the kind of topics that you have been working, writing documents, right? We consider what you author is something that is a very clear indicative of what you are actually interested in, right? And if that is the case, then the things around it or people around it are essentially the things that you would want to read more on as well, right? So that's basically what we are trying to do, and some bit of it is already in the product. But here, that's where it's also again something that's a gold mine of data that we have, that we don't just have your emails, and we also have your activity across these 365 apps. But again, this is your data, and this is only used for your own productivity. No model is trained. It's used only at the inferencing time to essentially as the model context to the model, so that the model can do right thing for you. And it stays in the same secure mailbox where your rest of your mail is, right? So any context that is built out.
Awesome. Ankur, I know we're at time, and I know you've got to get to your next meeting. So thank you very much. We've had several requests for the slides. If you sending those to Hannah, she can distribute those if you're all right with that, and we'll get the recording up as well.
Okay.
Thank you so much. This was awesome. And thanks everyone for joining. We'll see you all next week, and really appreciate you all being here. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks, Ankur.
Thanks, Ankur. Bye-bye. Have a great day.